making a waste-free future happen together. Your partner for change, CalRecycle is advancing world-leading reforms to cut waste and build circular use systems for all materials. Recycling innovation grants will bring hundreds of new redemption sites to 30 California counties. And how you can participate in the development of California's Zero Waste Plan. Join California's climate fight and shift to a circular use economy. CalRecycle's monthly public meeting starts now.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us for CalRecycle's August 2024 public meeting, where we share important progress and updates as we work together to build a circular system that cuts waste and reuses all materials and products. And we're going to start something new today to allow our Spanish language interpretation to catch up with our agenda. We will wait about 3 to 4 seconds after I introduce the video before we start it, and that will just be a natural pause to allow for that. And before we begin, here is a safety and language access message.
In the event of a fire alarm, we are required to evacuate. Take your valuables and use the exit signs. Do not use the elevators. If you cannot use the stairs, you will be directed to a protective vestibule inside a stairwell. If relocated, exercise caution while crossing the street. Language shouldn't be a barrier when it comes to protecting our air, water, and land. CalRecycle is simulcasting this meeting in both English and Spanish. Click the public meeting banner at the top of calrecycle.ca.gov for a link to our webcast in English and Spanish. If you're attending this meeting in person in Fire and Share Auditorium, we have Spanish interpretation devices available. Let our team on the left-hand side of the dais know if you need one. El idioma no debe de ser una barrera cuando se trata de proteger nuestro aire, nuestra agua y tierra. CalRecycle está transmitiendo simultáneamente esta junta pública en español e inglés. Puede encontrar el enlace en línea en español e inglés en la parte superior de nuestra página web calrecycle.ca.gov. Si asiste a esta junta en persona en el auditorio Byron Share, tenemos dispositivos de traducción al español disponibles. Solo informe a nuestro equipo al lado izquierdo del mostrador de presentación si necesita uno.
Our first agenda item today is the Director's Report. CalRecycle's Chief Deputy Director, Mindy McIntyre, is here with updates. Good morning, Mindy.
Good morning, and thank you everyone for joining us today here in the building. It's quite busy. It's good to see people back again, and thank you for joining online for those of us who are joining online, or you who are joining online. We have lots of updates today, so we'll get straight to it, and I don't really want to give away the presentations that are coming, so I'm going to jump over some of these, but you're going to hear a lot about grants and our programs. A little update on our Zero Waste Plan. We had a workshop last week. We had really great participation, and we have a lot of comments that we're considering and going through, and we'll really go into our planning process as we move forward. We also want to recognize that there are a lot of fires throughout California, and some of those are more contained than others. Our hearts definitely go out to those that are impacted by the fires, and CalRecycle will be ready if needed for our debris removal program, working with Cal OES. Moving straight into the agenda, we have an update on SB 54, the plastics and packaging pollution prevention. I got that way wrong, but SB 54. We are taking comments on our EIR, and we had a scoping meeting last month. Or was it this month? It was last month because I reported on it at the last public meeting. Apologies, we are having a lot of meetings lately and a lot of workshops, but the comment period for the EIR does go through August 26th, so still taking comments on that, and you can find the portal link and the QR codes on our slides. We're also reviewing the public comments on the reg package and anticipate that those will be out as soon as possible. In our beverage container program, we are also working on a large regulations package and have progress there. The dealer co-op regulations are out, again, for a 15-day period, and we are taking comments on those right now. So we put those out on Monday, I believe. Back to you, Maria. I don't want to jump into other people's comments.
All right. Thanks, Mindy. CalRecycle just published a series of quarterly reports on beverage container recycling program certifications, enforcement, and compliance assistance. You can find the public notices on our website. And then moving on, hundreds of new recycling sites are coming to 30 California counties with support from CalRecycle's first beverage container recycling innovation grants. Branch Chief Michelle Martin joins us now with grant award announcements for new reverse vending machines, mobile, and drop-off recycling projects. Good morning, Michelle.
Good morning, everybody. Very exciting news today. Today, we're announcing nearly $70 million in redemption innovation grants for 37 projects across 30 counties in California. Take a look at this map showing where over 300 reverse vending machines, mobile, and bag drop recycling sites are headed. Supermart chains Save Mart and Smart & Final will get over $2 million each for reverse vending machines in 19 counties. In addition to Save Mart and Smart & Final, 19 awardees are partnering with other grocery stores throughout the state. New sites will also come to unserved or underserved counties like Butte, Imperial, Mendocino, Merced, and Modoc. Staff originally recommended distributing $40 million in the available funds for the first cycle, but we had so many applications for great projects. Staff recommends funding the entire allocation of nearly $70 million. You can click on today's agenda for more information on each grant award recipient, and more funding will be available for this program in the future. CalRecycle is working to get even more infrastructure funding out the door. We welcome your feedback on draft criteria and the evaluation process for 2 new grants. The increased recycling of empty glass beverage containers grant program will fund regional pilots that supply glass container collection bins to restaurants and on-sale beverage retailers. And the Recycle Glass Processing Incentive Grant Program aims to help increase glass cullet use in new glass beverage containers. Please send written comments or any questions to the email on the screen or by scanning the QR code by August 23rd. Next, staff proposes a minor change to the criteria for the local government waste tire enforcement program, which you can read in the link of today's agenda. Let's watch a quick video on how this funding supports local inspections and enforcement programs.
Massive tire fires burning for months or even years led California to track the safe management of its waste tires.
We used to see a lot of illegal dumping of trash and tires.
Across the state, more local governments are taking the lead to protect their communities.
If they're properly stored, there's less of a hazard.
With up to $650,000 in annual funding, CalRecycle's local government waste tire enforcement grant program covers costs for things like program staff, administration, equipment, and travel to support local oversight of neighborhood businesses.
Any facility that generates waste tires, whether it be airports, golf courses, mechanic shop.
Local inspectors ensure local businesses meet state standards for safe hauling, tire storage, disposal, and record keeping.
They take time to really educate the business owners.
They're ensuring the number of tires going into the facility or the number of tires going out.
State funding coupled with CalRecycle training and support helped more than 30 communities take control of their waste tire inspection programs.
I think that just the fact that we're out there doing these inspections really helps out our communities.
Protecting Californians, building trust with local businesses, and advancing California's circular waste-free future.
$6.25 million is available each year to support local inspections and enforcement. Local inspections and enforcement. Applications are scheduled to open in October. And finally, a quick update to the used oil recycling fund. CalRecycle recommends maintaining the current $6 million in funding for the used oil payment program. As program costs increase while revenues decrease, staff also recommends replacing the used oil and household hazardous waste symposium with a hybrid information exchanges for technical support. The department will continue to monitor oil sale trends, including electric vehicle impacts. Back to you, Maria.
Thanks so much, Michelle. And also, we want you to remember that you can offer comments or questions on any of today's agenda items. Here's how.
California wants your input on recycling and trash pollution issues. Join CalRecycle's decision-making process by making a live public comment on any of today's monthly public meeting agenda items in person or by phone. Microphones are available for those of you in the room with in-person comments. If you're joining remotely, you can call in with your comment. Just click the public meeting banner at the top of our website, then click the public comments button for step-by-step caller instructions.
We will address live public comments at the end of the meeting.
And then moving on to extended producer responsibility updates, Californians now have more collection sites and mail-back options for pharmaceutical and sharps waste. Star Branch Chief Clark Williams will share extended producer responsibility updates. Good morning, Clark.
Good morning, Maria. Nice to see everyone here today. The department received a number of annual reports and budgets for our pharmaceutical and sharps waste programs earlier this summer. On June 27th, the department approved the 2023 annual reports and 2025 annual program budgets for med projects, covered drugs, and sharps waste programs. Med projects drugs annual report showed significant progress, establishing more than 1,000 covered drug collection sites, 120 mail-back distribution locations, and overall collecting nearly 560,000 pounds of unwanted medication, making disposal convenient for Californians. In MedProject's 2023 annual report for home-generated sharps waste, MedProject reports distributing over 129,000 sharps waste containers, mail-back materials to Californians. MedProject's 2025 annual program budgets for covered drugs and home-generated sharps waste demonstrated its programs are operating in a financially responsible manner. Now to the stewardship programs operated by the Drug Take-Back Solutions Foundation. On June 27, the director disapproved the foundation's 2023 annual covered drugs and home-generated sharps waste reports. It was determined the foundation's covered drugs program heavily relied on mail-back opportunities rather than providing the number of safe disposal collection sites required by law. The same goes for the foundation's home-generated sharps waste program, as the annual report did not demonstrate that California residents were provided adequate access to safe disposal of home-generated sharps waste. The foundation must revise and resubmit its annual reports by September 27th. On July 1st, the director also disapproved the foundation's 2025 annual budgets for its covered drugs and home-generated sharps waste programs. The foundation must revise and resubmit its program budgets by September 29th. Staff's analysis for all these items are contained in a link within today's agenda. Next, an update on our California Carpet Stewardship Program. CalRecycle's director approved Carpet America Recovery Efforts revised contingency plan amendment on August 1st. Moving on to the Paint Extended Producer Responsibility Program. California's Paint Stewardship Program is run by Paint Care, and they submitted its 2023 annual report, which the department has reviewed. The report shows a boost in consumer paint drop-off convenience. We now have over 875 free drop-off sites available within 15 miles of 99% of California's population. Over 3.3 million gallons of paint were processed, of which 88% has been reused to recycle. The director found Paint Care's annual report compliant. We also want to make everyone aware we have an upcoming workshop to add aerosol paints to the paint stewardship program. That workshop is on August 26th from 9 a.m. to noon. You have the option of participating in person here in the Byron Share Auditorium or also remotely. And you can find more information about our paint program in today's agenda. Back to you, Maria.
Thank you so much, Clark. Moving on to our local assistance and market development items. Environmental Program Manager Marshall Graham has a few updates.
Good morning. There we go. CalRecycle and Caltrans will present at an upcoming webinar to boost beneficial compost use across the state. Register now to join us for the September 10th webinar from 1 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. And the topics include market demand updates on Caltrans specifications, compost filter stock research, and a compost producer roundtable discussion. Also next week, there is a chat with CalRecycle on the 28th from 10 a.m. till 12 p.m. And the focus here will be on edible food recovery program implementation and local government collaboration. And if you go to the CalRecycle events section at the top of our website, you can register. With the next item, CalRecycle is required to review and either approve or disapprove each countywide or regional agency waste management plan 5-year review report. These reports are comprehensive analyses of planning documents which may be impacted by changes to demographics, disposal capacities, funding, and diversion programs. Tulare County submitted a 5-year review report for its countywide integrated waste management plan, concluding no revisions to the county's planning documents are necessary at this time. And this item has been approved. You can click on the agenda for today's meeting for more information. And with that, I'll return it to you.
Thanks so much. I think we're still having some sound problems on Zoom. So our next agenda item is a recent project approval. Project approvals for CalRecycle managed projects under the Solid Waste and Disposal and Co-Disposal Site Cleanup Program. These projects mitigate eligible sites where the responsible party is unknown or unable to pay for actions needed to protect public health and the environment. Deputy Director Mark DeBee is here with those items. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning, Maria. Thank you. So CalRecycle is partnering with a couple other agencies, the Bureau of Land Management and U.S. Forest Service, to remediate 2 legacy disposal sites. The Lower Virginia Creek Legacy dump site near Conway Summit in Mono County is managed by the Bureau of Land Management, and it currently has exposed waste, including metal, glass, and concrete that had accumulated on the site over several decades and is scheduled to be removed by CalRecycle's contractor. The budget for this project is $31,800, and it will come out of the Solid Waste Trust Fund. The second cleanup is for the Upper Virginia Creek Legacy dump site, which is nearby. The previous one, CalRecycle managed cleanup for this site is in partnership with the Forest Service, and this one is expected to have a budget of $109,000, also coming out of the Solid Waste Trust Fund. I also wanted to let folks know that we're looking at 2 changes to the scoring criteria for the solid waste cleanup grants. The cleanup grants on private property scores will be decreased if specified enforcement case milestones are not completed first. So that's one change. The second change is we're also, it's not really a change, it's a clarification on how points are assigned under the disadvantaged communities scoring section. So I have these changes proposed to me, and after this meeting, I plan to move forward on them. I wanted to also announce that the next grant cycle for the cleanup grants opens next week with applications due next month in September. So I'll move on now to solid waste tire and tire facility permits and emergency waivers. And as usual, we have a quick overview of California facility standards and statewide facility permit update from our environmental program manager, Paulina Lawrence.
Protecting the health of Californians and their land, food, water, and air.
We were having sound issues, but that sounded even worse.
Protecting the health of Californians and their land, food, water, and air is a big job. Local, state, and federal agencies play different roles to enforce public health and environmental safety standards. In California, solid waste local enforcement agencies process applications, issue and enforce permits for solid waste facilities. These include landfills, transfer stations, compost facilities, or similar operations. CalRecycle must verify permits are consistent with state requirements. Permits can only address areas within the authority of local enforcement agencies and CalRecycle. Check out the link below for more detailed information. Emergency waivers allow temporary changes to solid waste permit requirements in response to local or state disasters. Local enforcement agencies may approve the waivers, which are good for up to 120 days and may be extended. CalRecycle must review approved waivers and can condition, limit, suspend, or terminate them. Check out the link for more detailed information. For waste tire facilities, CalRecycle processes applications, issues and enforces waste tire permits. These include requirements to make sure tires are stored and processed in a way that reduces potential threats from fire and disease-carrying vectors like mosquitoes. Check out the link for more detailed information.
Since last month's meeting, for San Bernardino County, the department concurred on July 25th, 2024, a revised solid waste facilities permit for Victor Valley Materials Recovery Facility and Transfer Station. Action was needed July 30th, 2024. Continuing on this month's agenda, for Kern County, U.S. Boraxine. This is a modified solid waste facilities permit. Action is needed December 31st, 2024. For San Bernardino County, CEMEX Black Mountain Quarry Plant, EMSW, Conversion Facility. This is a new solid waste facilities permit. Action is needed October 12th, 2024. For Sacramento County, Rubicon Logistics Inc. This is a new minor waste tire facility permit. Action is needed December 7th, 2024. For Ventura County, Del Norte Regional Recycling and Transfer Station. This is a modified solid waste facilities permit. Action is needed August 23rd, 2024. For Shasta County, Anderson Landfill Inc. This is a revised solid waste facilities permit. Action is needed September 1st, 2024. New to this month's agenda, for Riverside County, Coachella Valley Compost. This is a revised solid waste facilities permit. Action is needed September 28th, 2024. Preliminary review of the permit package indicates the following proposed changes: increasing the permitted area from 39.8 acres to 41.8 acres.
Great. And since the agenda for this meeting was established, we had at least one more item come in. And so here's Paulina live in the room. Tell us about that one.
Thanks, Mark. Hello, everyone. Yeah, as Mark mentioned, as we go through each month, not only does CalRecycle, but also the local enforcement agencies and those facility operations work real closely to get their revised, modified, or new permit actions to come in to be reviewed by CalRecycle. For this month, we just received a new permit action from the City of Los Angeles. This is for Crown Recycling Services. The facility is located at 9147 DeGarmo Avenue in Sun Valley, California. This is a modified solid waste facilities permit. Action is needed October 15th, 2024. Preliminary review of the proposed permit package indicates the following proposed changes: removal of the tonnage limits associated with material types, and a permitted tonnage of 6,700 tons per day, which is not changing from the original permit. Thank you, everyone. Back to Maria.
Thanks, Paulina and Mark. We apologize for the video recording sound issues today. We'll fix those before uploading today's meeting video onto YouTube. So the YouTube version should be louder throughout. You can find more information on any of today's agenda items. Just go to CalRecycle's homepage and click on the public meeting web banner at the top of our homepage if you're watching this live, or halfway down the page for a link to the agenda and associated public notices in the public meeting section. And now it's time for our public comments. First, we'll take comments from the public who are present here in the Sacramento Cal EPA headquarters meeting room. And then after that, we'll take comments from those participating by phone. A reminder, your microphones on the phone will stay muted until you're called on by the last 4 digits of your phone number. Also, please, on the phone, please mute your webcast to avoid potential feedback issues, because that can be pretty loud here. So now we will take in-person comments at the microphone on the north or south side of the room. Do we have any public comments today?
Okay, thank you. Okay. Shirley Frericks, Nevada County. I saw something about compost, but is there a compost program that's happening? You know, there's something that I got about that, but I don't know if it's happening or how to do it, because one thing that we need is with the 1383 thing, we would like to keep our food waste in the county, and we are having a hard time figuring out how to do that. So, you know, who can I talk to? What can I do? What can we do? We would, you know, it's like, oh, waste managers said, oh, we'll take it up somewhere. Well, that's a lot of fossil fuels. They're gas trucks. Well, not really. But anyway, it's still, we'd like to keep it in the county. Is there a compost program happening that we can work that out?
I'm looking at our deputy, Michelle Martin, who can give you more information.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yes,
okay.
And of course, there's
that's number
1383 implementation.
That's number one.
Includes compost as well.
Okay, good, thank you. The other thing is I listened in on the zero waste plan meeting the other day, and I didn't make any comments because I thought, well, anyway, you know, there's a few things that occurred to me after, you know, as we thought about it. I mean, A, I certainly agree with most of them that we need a definition, you know, of what that is. B, that, you know, how fast do we do that is another thing. I mean, personally, I've been hanging around with this stuff since the late 80s and 90s, right? And I don't think you're ever going to get to zero waste, but you know, we need to move it along. One thing that really occurred to me was when I worked in Marin on the recycling program, we educated the kids. We educated mostly the secondary kids. And I don't see, I could be misled, but you know, in our area, I don't see that there are programs in the schools that have to do with climate change or recycling or any of these things that are just bottom line in today's world anyway. And so I don't know, do you have any influence? Can you talk and try and get it on? Because they tell me, oh, we can't do anything because it's not on the curriculum from the God in Sacramento. You know, it's like, well, come on now. You know, we need to figure it out. Is that something that you think is important? Is to educate our young people?
Well, of course, education is critical, and you know, this is back to school week. I can tell you because I have 2 kids, and back to school nights are taking up most of our evenings. But of course, and CalRecycle, as you may know, set up the Office of Education, Environmental Justice, and Tribal Affairs not too long ago. Last year, I believe, is when we did that. And our deputy, Katrina Lenny-Coig, is very much focused on how that program can be helpful and interact with CDE and others. And certainly we do have some resources for education. I just saw our posters that were made available, and I can tell you, I'm sending them to our schools to make sure that they put those up so that the kids have some awareness. And so we are very interested in figuring out how to take what we're doing here at CalRecycle and offer it to our friends over in CDE and other places so that it can be a part of the curriculum. But you're right, it is education is a whole nother thing, and CalRecycle certainly isn't the lead, but we definitely want to partner there.
Okay, yeah, I think it should happen sooner than later, knowing how how the government works. Anyway, okay. I just see another thing about solid waste, and then I'm finished, is my business was retailing. And so when I go into stores today, I see the proliferation of stuff. I mean, you know, like we used to have cider vinegar with cider vinegar, right? Now there's like 4 or 6 different kinds of cider vinegar. Not necessary. I mean, if I was going to go and do a zero waste program with the stores and the manufacturers, I would just say, cut your stocks by 50%. Because the amount of waste that we have of all that stuff that they don't sell, that's sitting in supply places, in regional distribution centers, central distribution centers, and they don't, all the way back. It's an enormous amount of stock that's just sitting there. If it isn't moving, it isn't moving. Where does it go? In the landfill. And particularly it was in the fashion business. And I know that's what's happening there. And that is really serious, how much stuff goes out. You want one thing, you go to the shorts and a little plastic thingamabob, and there's 12. You have to buy 12 in order to have one. Anyway, I think that is a huge, huge place where we can make some savings towards zero waste. Thank you.
Thank you for those comments, and we certainly do want to work with our friends in the grocery store world, and they have been doing a good job, and I know that we've provided some updates on our efforts across California on food rescue, and there are a lot of good stories to tell there, but much more work to be done.
I'd also like to encourage you or anyone present or watching to go to CalRecycle's homepage, and at the top we have a link to our zero waste survey. So if you have thoughts and ideas, please give us your feedback officially that way. It helps us to include it in the overall plan that's being created. Are there any other comments in the room today?
Good day. My name is Del Riosberger. I'm from San Diego County. I'm a poli-sci student. I'm building an initiative back in 2010 when I lived in the county, Sacramento County. I was a part of a program where we were doing e-waste, or we were doing recycling at like gas stations and stuff like that. And I saw a lot since being here this year that a lot of that is gone. Comparative to my knowledge of that initiative or that initiative, I thought about doing e-waste, and I see that we don't have a lot of e-waste kind of places to drop it off. I know that you can do it at like Staples, and I know that there's like places where you can bring your e-waste, but my thought was, upon doing my analyses and building this initiative, to do more how the textiles do their waste and do that same kind of programming for e-waste. And the only real roadblocks that I'm finding within the program itself is the differentiation between our state e-waste and then any outer e-waste coming in, and trying to make sure that there's an understanding of the differences between those two things. Other than that, I'm not really finding any kind of problems other than that. So I'm trying to see about particularly why we may not have that, other than just like running like events or just going and dropping it off, or taking it to Staples. Why don't we have more places like we do with the textile waste program, and doing it that way for e-waste? And then also, who might I be able to talk to about building upon this initiative that I'm doing?
Well, our Deputy Director, Kara Morgan, is out over e-waste, but Marshall, sitting right behind you, is acting. So certainly can use that as a contact, but e-waste, we're looking at e-waste right now. The program is expanded by quite a bit under 1215, and we are developing those regulations
I
at
see
the
that.
moment. So it is an opportunity for us to look at the program, and there'll be more to come very soon. I know that there was a workshop earlier this week. We did have a lot of technical difficulties during that workshop, so I know that there are plans in place to hold another one, because we know that people who wanted to participate weren't able to because of the technical difficulties. So stay tuned for that. But
Understood. I look forward to it.
Are there any more comments in the room today? Okay, so we are now going to take comments by phone. If you're calling in, your microphones will stay muted until you're called on by the last 4 digits of your phone number. Once you're called on, please mute your computer sound before you start to avoid the echo and feedback we talked about. And Lance, are there any callers?
Thanks, Maria.
Yes.
We have 3 calls right now in the queue. We'll take them in the order they were received. First caller is ending in 6607. I will ask you to unmute your mic, state your name, affiliation, and go ahead with your comment.
Hello there, I'm here. This is Leonard Lang, and I work with recyclers up and down the state. Wanted to see if there was any findings. 2 months ago, I asked if the department would be adopting permanent regulations for emergency regulations that were adopted in 2013, 2014 for SB 96. Director said that you guys would look into that. And then one other question. With the Supreme Court, U.S. Supreme Court making a decision on Chevron deference, does the department see that having any effect on California and past decisions?
Thank you for those comments. And the regs calendar does include moving from emergency regs to permanent regs, but it's also in the mix of all of the other regs packages, many of which we've talked about today, are being completed and going through the process. So it is on our to-do list. It is down there. On Chevron, of course, that will have an impact on California, and I know that all of the BDOs are looking at that now.
Thank you.
Up next, we have a caller with the last 4 digits, 0392. I'm going to ask you to unmute, state your name, affiliation, go ahead with your comment. Caller ending in 0392. Okay, moving on to our next caller.
Sorry about that. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, that was operator error on my part. Thank you. This is Susan Collins, president of Container Recycling Institute, who now knows the difference between the pound button and the star button. I just have a couple of comments today. First, congratulations and thank you on releasing the latest regulatory package on the dealer co-ops, and also on awarding all of those grants to all of the new potential recycling locations with the Redemption Innovation Grant. I know I'm super excited, and I know a lot of people around the state are going to be really, really excited to see all of those new sites get developed, and especially because there is a lot of it that really is new technology and new modalities of returning beverage containers. And so thank you. It's getting this ball rolling as we move toward January 1st, 2025, when all of the stores need to comply. So that's super exciting. And I also wanted to thank you, and especially thank Mindy for sending me the follow-up email last month to alert me about the new financial reports that were available. I received both the semi-annual financial report and the June governor's budget, and I was pleased to see that the $300 million inaccuracy has been corrected for the fund balance for last calendar year, last fiscal year, 22-23. So that's just another thank you, and that's all I've got today.
Thank you. Thank you for the comments, and we are very excited about the Recycling Innovation Grants and the 1013 regulations. So really appreciate folks watching that and helping us to develop those processes. Both the grants and the regulations are super important, and as you've mentioned, are about innovation and moving the program forward and allowing some modernization into the beverage container program to provide access to consumers and increase those recycling rates. So thank you for your comments.
We have one more caller. Last digits are 6555. I will ask you to unmute, Please state your name, affiliation, and go ahead with your comment.
Hello, my name is Amelia Chuchalowski, and I'm with U.S. Tire Manufacturers Association. I wanted to know if you knew when the 5-year plan for the waste tire recycling management program for years 25, 26 to 29, 30 was going to be posted online or released.
I'm looking at our team. Do we have that date?
Hi, this is Clark Williams, branch chief here at CalRecycle. We'll just be kicking off the 2-year update to the 5-year tire plan this fall. And so we anticipate a workshop late fall, maybe November timeframe to start our stakeholder engagement on the next iteration of the 5-year tire plan.
Thank you, Clark.
Thank you.
All right, that looks like that's all of our comments for today. So you can find the recording of today's August 2024 monthly public meeting video posted to CalRecycle's YouTube channel as soon as possible. We'll be making a few edits, so maybe not till the beginning of next week. And thanks to everyone who participated in today's public meeting. Also, again, if you'd like to give input on our zero waste plan recommendations, please go to the survey at the top of CalRecycle's homepage, calrecycle.ca.gov, and that will be available until the end of August. Thank you so much, and we will see you next month.